There we go. Go ahead, K-Style. Do your thing. You know how to open it up.
Oh. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, Atlanta Falcon Nation family, what it do, man? We got the Friday Night Madness. Hey, it's your boy Just K Styles. Stage right. We got Mr. Mad Mike Sports.
AKA the Mad Scientist. AKA the Mad Scientist. AKA the Matt Ryan lover. All right. But we got one of my, I don't know how I should quite say this. I'll just say this. He is one of those guys that inspired me to become what we call a content creator / journalist / reporter, all of that. Aaron Freeman, he's the Falcons prophet. Let's just call him that, the prophet. All right. All hail to the prophet. Aaron Freeman, what's good, man? Tell the people what's good. What you got going on, man?
Man, not much, man. I appreciate you guys having me on. I know, Mike, you've been calling me out to have on the show. It's been like a year now, so we finally got it done. So, I've been wondering what you've been waiting on, but we're finally here.
Whoa! You calling me out? Wow! You started out early. Ding. Whoa, this dude. Hey, man, you turn on the lights. He just, wow, I gotta watch my back now. I see how you do, Aaron. All right, hey, man, it's all good. I love a little friendly competition, but man, the first question that we have for you, man, is actually, how did you get started, and why did you choose the path that you chose,
man? Well, I mean, it's a long story, but the short version is I grew up in Virginia, didn't know any Falcon fans. So, when this thing called the internet came along in the late 90s, I was able to jump online and meet a whole bunch of Falcon fans for the first time. And I was like, oh, this is great. So that kind of inspired me, to start a website, formerly falcfans.com. And then when I got out of school, didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life. And I was like, look, this website exists. I can put up some content on this. Maybe this will lead down a path where someone will pay me to give my football takes. So that kind of started around 2006. Then the podcast started around 2011. And, it's grown from there slowly and steadily. Started making a little bit of money now the last couple of years, now that I'm doing the Locked On thing. So it's nice. It took a while to get there, but it's nice to get, some, pay for all the hard work I put in over these years. So I appreciate, the Locked On Network for allowing me to do that. And for those folks that aren't familiar with Locked On Falcons, it's 5 days a week, covering the Falcons every day, every week, all year long. So, if you're bored for 30 minutes, you can check out Locked On Falcons any day you want.
Hey, man, we would definitely help you plug that. That's nothing here, man. This is real Falcons fans, Falcon content creators, man. Just really got to get to a point where we're not competing against each other, right? Like it's enough room for everybody out here to be, to do their thing, man. But K Styles, man, I know it's something on your mind. What you got cooking over there?
Man, I know them trials and tribulations leading up to this point were crazy. Now, I know for me, like I said, Mike kind of brought me on, so I'm kind of like the new content creator as far as Atlanta Falcons. What was some of the worst bumps and hurdles you done went through as far as getting
that question?
Oh, wow. How long you guys got? I mean, like probably the lowest point was maybe like around like 2015, where I was like unemployed and like trying to get a job and looking at all this time I had spent doing this Falcon stuff and having like no money for it at all. Oh, man, and then like being like, did I just waste the last 10 years of my life doing all this stuff?
Right.
And fortunately for me, like the very next year, Obviously, the Falcons were very successful that year in 2016. That's when we first got linked up with Locked On and whatnot. So it was just one of those things where I just kind of had to persevere through it. But that was a very dark time, at least in terms of like my content creation back in 2015. So, it's just one of those things that if you're passionate about it, I think you just got to persevere through it. If it will definitely weed you out if you're not into it after a certain point, if you're not, ready to, do it and be passionate about it.
I like that.
Hey, only the strong survive. We say it all here. And he could have said one key word for me is passion. It definitely weeds out. If you're not passionate about this, if you don't really love what you're doing, like for me, man, I love what I'm doing. So I studied the best. Guys like Matt Carey, Aaron Freeman. It's so many. It's so many. D-Led, the late great Vaughn McClure. Like I've studied a lot of these guys. So just looking at and hearing the stories, and a lot of people don't remember the Falcon fans. The website. That website, I stayed on that website because I remember one year, and I think it was around the same year, 2015-16, where I broke down almost 200, 300 players. And one of the websites that I found was Falcon fans. And this guy, when I tell you, he went in depth with a lot of his content. And those who have been around, they know what I'm talking about. So let's kind of go into another question that we had about, and it kind of goes into, let's just say this, the first thing. What are your thoughts on Arthur Smith? Like, I know a lot of people they're looking at Arthur Smith almost like Dan Quinn. Like, where did this guy come from? And they have their reservations about, can this work? Will it work? Is he the right guy? Especially dealing with a guy like Dan Quinn, where it was pretty much his first, rendezvous as a head coach. Like, what are your thoughts on the direction that he wants to take this thing?
I mean, for me, it's one of those things where, like, this is a very interesting time for the Falcons because this is the first time in a very long time that the Falcons hired an offensive-minded coach, right? The last time they did that was Bobby Petrino, which we don't count, right? We just skipped that one. Right, doesn't count, and before that it was Dan Reeves, right? So the last time we hired an offensive coach was Dan Reeves in '97, right? Almost 25 years ago, and there's been this battle, this debate back and forth whether or not is it better for this team given all their offensive powers and their defensive struggles? Is it better for them to hire offensive coach, defensive coach these last couple of years, given, sort of the struggles that Dan Quinn has gone through? So I'm very curious to sort of see whether Arthur Smith can sort of, live up to the hype and be sort of that offensive guru that can come in and really get this offense back on track. Because we know that this team has been driven primarily by their offense, thanks to players like Matt Ryan and Julio Jones over the last decade. And I think that's been a big reason why this team has slipped in recent years, because their offense just hasn't been great. It's been good at times, but just hasn't been the sort of consistent level that we've come to expect with these players that we've had over this last, 10, 12 years. So I think Arthur Smith has the potential to get it back on track. I tend to be a very much a believe it when I see it type of person. So I'm hopeful, I'm optimistic, but like at the same time, like I'm not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, he's definitely we're going to go, 16-1 this year. And, we're going to be in the Super Bowl or whatever. Like I'm very excited to see what he does, but I'm not going to necessarily go too far on the limb before we actually see some, actual football being played later this summer.
Well, that's an interesting way that you said it. Like you said, offensive-minded head coach since Dan Reeves, and we was a balanced team. And the last two head coaches that were defensively, we was a pass-happy team. Yeah, that sounds kind of oxymoronic a little bit, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, he was known for having that running game in Tennessee. He joked about it before a couple of weeks ago. Like, people gave him a lot of credit for being a great play caller when all he did was just hand the ball off to Derrick Henry and let Derrick Henry do his thing. So, he's not going to have that scenario probably in all likelihood here in Atlanta, at least not immediately. So I think Atlanta's going to be a challenge for him, but obviously it's not going to be like this huge challenge because he's got Matt Ryan, he's got Julio Jones, he's got Calvin Ridley, he's got Hayden Hurst, he's got some talented offensive linemen. He's added Mike Davis. There's some other places that the Falcons could wind up adding, in a couple of weeks in the draft to sort of help supplement that. So, it's not as if like he's, it's barren or anything like that. So he's got some weapons that he can work with and he can be very productive with. But I don't know if we're going to see, exactly what we saw in Tennessee with him just basically, I'm just going to feed Derrick Henry and let him carry us. Because I don't think we're going to have, I like Mike Davis, but I don't think he's Derrick Henry.
Right.
Ain't nobody Thanos out there. That's Thanos right there, man. Thanos with dreadlocks. That's what I call him.
It's kind of interesting that you brought that up, and me being one of the guys that really watches a lot of film. What are the things for you personally when you look at Arthur Smith, his scheme, going back to Tennessee and watching how they use their weapons? Like, what jumps out to you as far as his scheme, what he likes to do that you are most excited about?
Well, I mean, in the run game, it's the outside zone scheme, right? And that's where the Falcons' offensive line was built towards, with Jake Matthews and having all these athletes. You got Matt Hennessy, you got Chris Lindstrom, you got Caleb McGarry. We'll see what happens with the left guard position. But Matt Gono, we've seen him get plugged in there and do decent work there at times. So you have this offensive line that Dan Quinn, say what you will about Dan Quinn and his, roster building. But, he built an offensive line to run that outside, that wide zone scheme that, Kyle Shanahan and others have made famous. And that's what Arthur Smith did in Tennessee. That's what he's going to do in Atlanta. He hired a coach in Dwayne Ledford as offensive line coach. That's what he coached everywhere he went when he was in the college level, right? So you're going to see that, and that's going to help hopefully get this running game back on track and get it back to the levels it was in the pre-Dirk Cutter days. In the passing game, I think what you're looking for is a lot of play action. That's what he was known for in Tennessee. That's not something that Dirk Cutter was particularly known for. He did dial it up more last season than he's probably ever done outside of a couple of years with Jameis Winston in Tampa Bay. But certainly compared to his previous times in Atlanta, where he just kind of was like, I'm not going to ask Matt Ryan to run a lot of play action. And last year you saw him do it more. And I think it was effective at times. And that's why, you saw the offense be a little bit more explosive. But I think, Arthur Smith, at least based off of what he did in Tennessee, he's going to turn that up to 11. So I think you like what the blueprint is, and how Tennessee used A.J. Brown is a lot like how the Falcons prior to Dirk Cutter used Julio Jones and Stark's offense and Kyle Shanahan's offense. And we saw, Julio Jones, despite the injury, played at a really high level last year when he was healthy. I think there's every reason to think that you will see him continue to play at a high level, maybe not at sort of where he was peak a couple of years ago, where, getting, what was it, like 1,800 yards receiving or something ridiculous. But, he doesn't need to do that anymore because you got an emerging player like Calvin Ridley. So I feel like all the things are there for the Falcons to have a potent offense. It's just, we just got to see it. We've been saying that for 3 years now. All the components are there for the Falcons off. We just haven't consistently seen it. So I think there's every reason for people to be optimistic that we can finally live up to those expectations. But, time will tell.
Okay, so with Arthur Smith, and like you said, that mentality of bringing kind of like that play action run game to Atlanta, do you think that his mindset as being a former offensive lineman can bring a different mentality as far as how this team is going to operate as far as being on the field?
I hope so. I really do. I guess the thing that popped in my head when you said that was remember last year, or I know you don't want to remember this, but the Saints whooped us in that one game, right? Where they got 8 sacks, right? And then, unfortunately, the thing that I've seen too much with the Falcons over the years is their offensive line will get whooped in a game, and then they'll get challenged the next week and they'll play better, right? But it takes them to have to get their butts kicked a couple of times before they get that challenge. And my hope is that with Arthur Smith, you won't need to see them get their butts kicked first. That challenge will be there from the jump. So that's what I'm hoping. But, being a Falcon fan for many years, it's hard for me to get too optimistic about their offensive line, living up to expectations.
Let's say this. Like, they just cut all the fluff and look. Were the Falcons too damn soft? What is this too soft?
Come on now.
Like, come on. Like, let's give it honest, 100% honesty, raw, real, rough, okay? All right? Were the Falcons too damn, because we've always said here, all right, we are oftentimes uncensored, and you're not going to get a lot of politically correct words here, but like, one of the things that I've always said is I love Ricardo Allen, but I thought Ricardo Allen was just one of those guys which is, look, he's the guy, he's the standard. We want you guys to act like Ricardo Allen because we want this team to look a certain way. And when you bring in a guy like Arthur Smith, you look at the guy, he looks intimidating. He looks like he's crazy as you know what, all right? He looks crazy as do you think the mentality for the Atlanta Falcons has to change more so than scheme? Because we know you can bring in this guy to run the ball, you can bring in this guy for a passing game, and you can draft all the best players. But if that mentality is everything. Do you think that's something that the Falcons are trying more? They're really trying to get back to that 98 Dan Reeves type of, we're going to come out, we're going to run the ball down your throat, and we're going to play hard-nosed physical defense. Do you think that's something that we should do?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal. I mean, I guess the part, where I wonder is, are we going to see that goal this year, right? It's right. Like, I think we're going to take steps there, but I don't know if we're going to be like at the end, at the destination, you know what I'm saying? So it's like,
right.
That's the path, that's the goal, that's the journey that we're going on. When we get there, I think it's up in the air, but I think certainly that's the end goal for Arthur Smith to get back to being that physical team. And like, for me, it's one of those things where like we heard Dan Quinn talk about this. We've heard Jim Moore talk about this. We've heard so many Mike Smith talk about this, and they were able to do that with Michael Turner early on and be that sort of physical football team with him and Harvey Dahl and Obi Mahaley and whatnot. So, I'm not looking around seeing Michael Turner and Obi Mahaley, walk through that door quite yet. But, I don't know if Harvey Dahl we have a Harvey Dahl in this offensive line. But like, I think that's the goal that the Falcons are going to start building towards. And I think you see them take steps in this draft to start to add those types of pieces up front in the backfield in this draft. It's just going to be a matter of when they do decide to do that.
All right. Since he done went to that question, I got a question for you, Mr. Aaron Freeman.
Okay.
So with this new regime, where do you think that first pick for this draft? How do you what pick do you think they would be at number 4, or they would trade down to kind of establish this new regime and mentality? Because
yeah, man, this is the big question, right? This is the question. This is the question when everybody wakes up on Twitter or wherever you're at and decides like, okay, let's get into it each and every day, right? Look, I'll be the first one to say I have no idea. I mean, like, with Dan Quinn and Thomas Dimitroff, like last year I was able to successfully predict them picking AJ Terrell, but it took 6 years for me to figure out their tendencies, for me to figure out who they were going to pick, because they always zig when you think they're going to zag. So basically, I'm throwing my hands up in year one of this new regime, being like, I have no idea who they're going to pick.
No idea.
But that being said, I think the decision to restructure Matt Ryan, I think, is an interesting decision, right? Because I think that in and of itself is not a questionable decision, but if you wind up taking a quarterback at 4, it becomes a questionable decision. If you don't wind up taking a quarterback at 4, then it's fine, right? So if that to me is the question. I think quarterback is still on the table at 4. I don't think it's likely, but I think it's still on the table. I think they probably want to trade back. If they don't get the chance to trade back, then I think they will probably take a pass catcher. And I know that's not going to necessarily help them in the physical department, but when you're picking at 4 and you're getting a blue chip franchise pass catcher, and if you're like, we know that Matt Ryan plays his best football when he has reliable receivers that he can trust, and whether that's a tight end like Kyle Pitts, whether it's a wide receiver like Jamar Chase or Jalen Waddle or Devontae Smith, I think it makes sense to take one of those guys because they're blue chip pass catchers. And I don't necessarily see a blue chip player on the defense. We can certainly have a conversation about Penny Sewell being a blue chip offensive lineman. I think the concern with drafting Penny Sewell, or at least my concern with drafting Penny Sewell, because I do really like him as a prospect, I don't know if he helps you where your biggest weakness on the offensive line is, and that's on the interior. And I think you can draft Penny Sewell and be very confident he's going to be a great tackle. I don't know if you can draft him and be confident he's going to be a great guard. I don't know if you can draft him, put him at tackle, and then move one of your current tackles, whether that's Jake Matthews or Caleb McGarry, and feel confident that they're going to be a good guard. So I feel like if you're drafting Penny Sewell, the possibility, even though you might be getting a franchise 15-year starter at tackle, you might be in the same exact predicament a year from now where you still need a guard, right? So I think if you want to solve the guard problem, take a guard, right? And that means trading back in the first round and getting one of those guards like a Rashawn Slater or Elijah Vera Tucker in the middle of the first round, or in round 2 or 3 or whatever, just get the best guard out there, a Landon Dickerson, a Quentin Myers, I don't know everybody in this draft class, but I feel like that solves that problem. You don't have to worry about that. So for me, at least, if you're going to go, if you're leaning towards offensive line at the top of this draft to get that sort of physical mentality that we're talking about, I think it's probably in your best interest to trade back, just because I just don't think drafting a tackle that high is worth the pick, right? Not because I don't think Penny Sewell's worth the pick. I just don't think for the Falcons drafting a tackle is really going to help them solve their issues. So I just laid out like 6 different scenarios for what the Falcons can do at the top of the draft. And so just pick one out of a hat and that's what they'll do. I have no idea.
We say this all the time. We say it all the time. Like K-Styles has this saying when we're asked what other Falcons are going to do, and what is that, K-Styles?
We don't damn know.
I have absolutely no clue where these guys are going, and I think this is more of a testament to not only Terry Fontenot, but one of the guys that I've always stated, like a lot of people have not given a lot of credit to. And when you look back at how the Falcons how the organization was run when he stepped back, and this is Rich McKay. And I think Rich McKay is is a vital part of this franchise that a lot of people are not really paying a lot of attention to. And we can kind of go back through the history of what happened when he was, for the most part, calling shots. A guy like Thomas Dimitrov, when he had full control of this team, Eve had some questionable, not only drafts, but he's had some horrendous free agent pickups. So, like, that kind of goes into what the next question is as far as the free agents. Which guy that you feel as though that is one of those guys? And I think a lot of them, if you look at all the free agents, Mike Davis, Eric Harris, these guys, what's his name? I forget the cornerback's name. I can't say his last name, but
Fabian
Moreau. Which of those guys do you like any of those guys?
Yeah, I mean, I like most of the signings. I mean, the one move I'm not a big fan of is the trade for Lee Smith. Not because I don't like Lee Smith. I just think, why are we trading for? Why are we overpaying for another blocking tight end? I feel like we've been down this road with Levine Toilolo and Luke Stocker. And I was like, why are we doing this again? But that being said, I like all the other moves. I was hoping, I was expecting, I wanted to see the Falcons be a little bit more aggressive in free agency this year to sort of fill some of these needs. Obviously, I didn't get that wish, but I think in terms of getting bang for your buck and shopping on a budget, I think they've done a decent job adding some veteran pieces, some guys that can come in and add some character to this locker room and help what I think are going to be a bunch of young guys, particularly on the defensive side of the ball. Where they're just kind of, it seems like the plan right now is that they're just going to basically just collect draft picks this year and next year and just sort of try to rebuild that way. And then hope that, the Julios and the Matt Ryans and the Grady Jarretts of the world can, sort of keep you competitive. That's what it seems like the plan is right now, but who knows? Again, no idea. But like, I like, I think Mike Davis is probably the guy that you're looking at is probably going to have the most impact this year, obviously, because I think, he has a chance to be their RB1. I think they're going to be in a committee system. I don't think there's going to be a true feature guy. I know a lot of people want to see them use one of their top picks on a running back. I wouldn't be opposed to that idea, but like, I don't see that happening, but again, don't know what I'm talking about, just guessing. But like, yeah, I mean, I think Davis is probably the most interesting piece just because I think he has an opportunity to have the most impact and give them that sort of physical running style that they have. But, Gurley gave that to them in the first half of last season, then kind of ran out of gas after like week 5. The hope is I think you can get what Gurley gave you for the first 5 weeks of the season for, a full 16 weeks of the season. And if you get that, that's a potential 1,000-yard rusher because Gurley was on pace for 1,000 yards through the first like 6-7 games of the season. It was, and basically anytime we got in the red zone, they were just handing the ball off. So at some point, I think he was on pace for like 25 touchdowns or something like that. But, but like, I think Davis has an opportunity to do some good stuff. And I think the other pieces, Mingo, Copeland, Moreau, Eric Harris, I think they're all role players. But I think they can, there's nothing wrong with role players. That oftentimes role players get a bad name. And unlike past, general managers, they're not paying multi-million dollars for role players. So, if
Brown and Carpenter paying those guys, what, 20, 30, 40 million for those guys?
Don't forget Paul Soliai and Tyson Jackson.
Wow. Yeah, I forgot about that one. K-Styles love to remind me of that one. I just got that etched out of my brain.
You see my face, right?
Yeah.
And it might just brought
like 40, 50
up
million or something like that.
Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Mike brought up the Robert Offer contract a couple times.
I thought that was the worst. That's one of those. I thought that was absolutely the dumbest contract. Like, why would you pay a guy who not only led the league in penalty yards, and that was his best year? That's his best year as a corner, and you give him almost $40 million when he's one of the worst cornerbacks in the freaking league, if not the worst corner in the league. Now, a lot of people got, a lot of Falcons fans, they get carried away with the interceptions and whatnot, but I also thought that was one of the worst contracts, which kind of goes into another thing, and we want to kind of go back a little bit, but the Matt Ryan restructure. This is something that I will really want to kind of get your idea, your thoughts on about just Matt Ryan, and we'll kind of go into the questions next. Let the fans just have some fun with Mr. Aaron Freeman. But what are your thoughts on what exactly? All right, we're gonna get this clear. All right, it's clear. This is your thoughts on the restructure. What are your thoughts on Matt Ryan, and what does this mean for years to come, if it means anything?
Look, I think Matt Ryan's still one of the better quarterbacks in the league. My main concern with Matt Ryan is not what he's going to be in 2021. It's not really what he's going to be in 2022, right? My main concern is like if you can call this a fear, and I've said this before on Locked On Falcons, like this is not a bad place to be. We've been in worse places, Falcon fans, than the place I'm about to describe. But I think if you're worried about Matt Ryan, you're not worried about the Falcons being bad with Matt Ryan, right? What you're worried about is the Falcons actually being good with Matt Ryan, but not good enough. That the Falcons are basically what the Saints have been the last couple of years, which is a very good team. They build around Matt Ryan, and then you get to the postseason, as we've seen with the Saints the last 4 years, and you just don't have that good of a quarterback. Drew Brees, great regular season quarterback, very efficient, manages the game as good as anybody else. But in January, you need to have an explosive, dynamic offense. And the dinking and dunking does not work. And when you look at Matt Ryan's own history as a quarterback in Atlanta, early on in his career, the offense was a dink and dunk, feed the ball to Michael Turner offense. And you got into January, and that just does not work against playoff defenses. Playoff defenses will let you have that easy stuff all day long, but then on third down, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, they are going to get off the field. When you get into the red zone, you're going to be settling for field goals and not scoring touchdowns. And then their quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, Russell Wilson, whoever it is going to go down the field and score a touchdown against the Falcons defense, right? That's basically the story of the Falcons in January. Then they go out and add a player like Julio Jones. And in 2012, Julio Jones and that offense was ripping through teams in the postseason because they were able to add an explosive element. That's why the Falcons made a run under Kyle Shanahan, because they were explosive offense, right? So my concern with Matt Ryan is, as he gets older, we know history tells us that quarterbacks start to lose something around the age of 37, 38. Matt Ryan's only like a year or two away from that, right? You can look at Ben Roethlisberger this past year, I think when he was 38. You look at Drew Brees when they had to basically transform their offense from asking Drew Brees to throw the ball 600 times a season to let's feed Alvin Kamara, let's feed Mark Ingram, let's feed Latavius Murray and run that balanced offense, because we know Drew Brees cannot drop back and throw the ball and carry the offense anymore. And so I think the concern you have with if you're a Falcon fan is not that the Falcons are going to be bad if they commit to Matt Ryan. It's that they're going to be good, and they're going to put all these pieces around Matt Ryan, and then Matt Ryan at age, whatever that age is going to be, is going to lose something, and you're going to be this really good team that wins 12, 13 games every year, but does not have a shot at the postseason, right? You're going to basically be what the Chiefs were before they moved up for Patrick Mahomes, and they had Alex Smith, which was a perennial playoff team. They made the playoffs 5 years in a row. They had some 13-3 seasons. There was a couple of years there where Alex Smith was one of the most efficient quarterbacks in the league. But guess what? They couldn't beat the Patriots. They couldn't beat teams like that in the postseason. And then they decided, well, look, we need to get an upgrade at quarterback. So that's the concern I think you have. That's at least the concern I have with Matt Ryan. I think you're several years away from that, but Father Time is undefeated. So eventually that day is going to come. It's just a matter of when. So for me, getting back to your question, all that to say, the Matt Ryan restructure, I think, does a good job of, if you're going to build around Matt Ryan and you're going to basically say he's our guy, then it makes sense for the Falcons to restructure Matt Ryan. As I said earlier, if you wind up drafting a quarterback, which I don't think is likely, but I think is still on the table, restructuring Matt Ryan makes no sense to me, right? Because now you're in a situation where you're either going to have to get rid of Matt Ryan and take a significant cap penalty next year or the year after, or you're going to wind up using a top 5 pick on a quarterback that you're not going to be able to use because Matt Ryan's going to be balling and doing whatever he's going to do. So I would sit here and say, because of that, I think the Falcons should pass on a quarterback, be ready to go and put pieces around Matt Ryan for the foreseeable future, see what they can do over the next 2-3 years with Matt Ryan at the helm. Figure it out from that point on. Does that answer your question?
Oh, absolutely. K-Styles, you got the thing, because I can keep going.
The only thing I can say is what he just said right there was very profound, and it probably have made him Atlanta Falcon fan enemy number one because of that statement.
He's used to that.
Yeah, and I didn't want to make this comment. And then, like I said, I seen like with what you just, with your take on what you just said, there's a lot of these Falcon fans out here that said that they were willing to give up on the team if they don't draft a quarterback with the 4th overall pick. I'm here to tell y'all, if you do that, and Aaron, I do this all the time. If y'all decide if y'all want to give up on the team, give us your merchandise and your season ticket. We can auction them off to the chat right here on that merchandise.
Look, my favorite thing this time of year is all the fans that are like, if they do this in the draft, I'm done. Like, no, you're not. You're just saying that. Like, no, you're not.
Every year we say it.
Look, ain't nothing the Falcons going to do in the draft make you quit on the team if you haven't quit on the team from what they've been on the field. Right? You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, you know, like, it doesn't make any sense. I love it when people say stuff like that. I'm like, no, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going anywhere. You might take a break from the Falcons. You might take, you know, our boy Tim Williams. You know, he took a break from the Falcons this year, right? But he's back. They always come back. You know, they always come back.
That's an insider. Y'all probably don't know. Oh man.
Hey man, like you said, they take a break for them until they start winning. And once they start, they peeking their head out like roaches.
Look, we all need a break from the Falcons every now and then. We all need a break from them. You know, it's hard emotionally to root for this team for as long as we have, right? I don't have a problem with people taking a break. Yeah, I recommend it for your mental health. If you need to take a month off, 2 months off, 3 months off, but you ain't quitting. If you ain't quitting by now, you ain't quitting because the team drafted somebody at 4 that you didn't want them to. Like, come on, man. You getting mad about a draft pick? Come on, man. You ain't mad about 28-3. You ain't mad about all these fourth quarter collapses. You know, but you mad about a draft pick. Okay, sure. Whatever you say.
See, I knew that was coming out of him. That's why I had to get him out there.
I just love when people be saying ridiculous things. Like, really? Okay, sure. Yeah, you gonna give up on the team because they're gonna take the wrong player at pick number 4. And like, that's the funny thing about the draft, man. This is what I get a kick out of this every year. We all sit here and we're all like, we sound like we're all experts. We're like, yeah, I watched this guy and blah blah blah. We have no idea who's gonna be good or not.
And we NFL teams, Caleb McGarry. We trade off for Caleb. Who saw that?
NFL teams don't know who's good. They don't know. We're all guessing. It's all just, you just roll a dice. And so, like, to get caught bent out of shape about who the Falcons, like, we're not going to know for 3 years who the Falcons should have taken. So, like, for people to be like, if they do this, if they, you know, it's like, whatever, man. Like, relax. We're not going to know. No, like, if I had asked you after the 2015 draft, which Falcons draft pick is going to be a 2-time Pro Bowler and be a top 3 player at his position, how many people would have said Grady Jarrett? Right? Where would have Grady Jarrett been ranked on that list of guys that would have been multi-Pro Bowler and top 3 at his position? Most people wouldn't have had him in their top 3 or 4 of the Falcons pick that year, right? Most people wouldn't have been like, oh yeah, if you knew that ahead of time, Grady Jarrett would have been a top 5 pick, a top 10 pick that year. But no one knows, man. It's like people get all bent out of shape about the draft or whatever. It's like, you just don't know. It's all guessing. It's fine. Like, have an opinion or whatever the case may be, but like, people acting like, you know, I know what's gonna, like, man, come on, man, get out of here with that nonsense. No one knows what they're talking about. We're all just guessing. That's all it is. We just guess louder than the other person next to us. That's all we're doing.
Say it one more time, Kevin. Say it one more time. One more time.
Okay. We don't damn know.
We have no idea. We're not experts. Like I said, no one could have seen Caleb McGarry like that. 2 things shocked me. I say 3. When the Falcons traded up to get Tack McKinley. 2, when they drafted Calvin Ridley, did not see that. I absolutely hated the pick. And 3, Caleb McGarry. I never saw Caleb McGarry coming. No one in their right mind. I don't give a damn who you are. No one is going to tell me that they saw Caleb McGarry being drafted in the first round. There's no way in hell they would have said that.
Yeah.
So that's kind of
they always zig when you expect them to zag. And so, like, I just tell people, like, don't have any expectations, like, because you don't know what's going to happen.
Right.
They're always going to throw off your expectations. So, you know, lower them as low as you possibly can get and just be like, look, man. And what's funny is like Matt Ryan was not a popular pick. Like, you know, we got this revisionist history where people act like, oh, like, we love Matt Ryan and we've loved Matt Ryan from day. Like, no, Falcon fans for the most part did not like that pick. Like, they hated the pick, right? They were all about Glenn Dorsey. But here's the thing. This is what happened. This is what you ask most Falcon fans, with the exception of a few, right? That still to this day are you know, on the outside looking in. But if you ask most Falcon fans after the draft, I'm like, hey, I'm not a huge fan of the pick, but he's a Falcon. I'm going to root for him. And I just say, like, if we all know that's where you're going to wind up, what's the point of you dying on a hill for 2 months before the draft over a prospect that if the Falcons don't pick him, like you don't care, you know? Like, it's just like whoever they wind up picking is going to be the guy that you root for. So just wait until they pick a guy and then root for that guy. You don't have to, feel compelled to wake up every day and be like, look, like I'm the Kyle Pitts guy. Not because like I really want the Falcons to draft Kyle Pitts. When people were like dismissing the idea of drafting Kyle Pitts like a month ago, I was like, hey, it kind of makes sense. Like it makes a little bit more sense once you start thinking about it. And so people are like, oh, you want the team to draft Kyle Pitts? Like, I don't really care who they draft, right? I know they're going to get a good player, or I'm hoping they get a good player. But at the end of the day, like, I don't really care. Like, whoever they get, I'll be fine with, So like, for me, it's one of those things where it's like, I just watch year after year of people being like, well, we should draft this guy, and they draft this guy. I'm done. I'm like, whatever, man. I just go, whatever, sure.
It really struck a nerve. He really struck a nerve.
Obviously, you guys know, as you can tell, like this is stuff I've been thinking about for a long time, and I just I can't say it every day on Locked On Falcons because I gotta stay on topic. But I appreciate you for giving me the format in the forum to be able to vent a little bit.
Hey,
that's exactly what it's about.
Yeah, that's about the same question and stuff we get on a daily basis over here. A daily basis. Because I said Kyle Pitts is the best athlete in this draft.
Look, you're not going to get any dispute from me. I was listening to a podcast earlier today.
I know you ain't getting no dispute. We right here.
I was listening to a podcast earlier today, and the person said, like, if you take the quarterbacks out of the conversation, Kyle Pitts might be the best player in this draft. Like, whether you agree with that statement or not, it's not that hard to make that argument. Am I right? Right? It's a pretty easy argument. You just watch a couple of highlights and you're like, hey, there ain't that many 6'6", 240-pound guys that move like this, that catch like this. The types of guys that immediately pop into my head when I see this guy, play, I see Julio Jones, I see Calvin Johnson, like, so who would sit here and be like, I don't think we should draft Calvin Johnson 2.0. I don't think we should draft another Julio. Like, that's why I'm like, that was my whole thing from Kyle Pitts with the start. Like, are you really going to be mad if the Falcons draft like a super dynamic, talented tight end that completely changes how defenses play you? Are you really going to be mad about that just because he's a tight end? Like, really? Okay, sure. Okay, whatever.
To go along with Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones, to have Kyle Pitts in the slot consistently along with Hayden Hurst, that right there is just that is a matchup nightmare. I don't know any defenses that can do much with that, because you have Jones is just he's gonna in his own right command sometimes triple teams, but double teams consistently, and you have to pay close attention to a guy like Calvin Ridley. Like, you can't just leave Calvin Ridley on the island alone consistently. So you have a guy like Kyle Pitts, man. I don't think a lot of teams want that problem. I really don't think a lot of defensive coordinators want that problem, which kind of goes into let's go into the defensive side of the ball, because we've done enough of offense. What are your thoughts on Dean Pease and there's a lot of issues in the front seven. We all know that he stated that he doesn't necessarily want to, tip his hand on what he, the type of formations that he was, a 4-3 or 3-4 team. What do you think about the direction of the defense, where they're headed, if you can see anything? Like, right now, we don't know anything about this team. This is what I love about the team right now. I love confusion because we don't know. This is the first time. Like, he said it not too long ago. He just said it not too long ago. You've been able to predict every move the Falcons are going to make before it happens. And this is the first time in a while that we don't damn know. We don't know anything. So when you look at the roster, when you look at the draft picks and the salary cap, like, as far like what do you see in the direction that the Falcons, they can go? If
I mean, for me, this might be a hot take to a lot of people. I don't think they're going to be drastically different schematically than they were last year under Raheem Morris. Like, I think they'll tweak it a little bit, but we saw a blitz happy scheme. This was the most blitz happy we've seen the Falcons probably ever in 2020 with Raheem Morris. They were like top 10, 12 in blitzes. Yeah. And when you look at how much they blitzed last year, that was actually more than Dean Pease was blitzing when he was in Baltimore and Tennessee. So I think you're going to see a lot of similarities, right? They try to do a better job disguising their coverages. Again, we can debate whether it was effective or not, but like they did a better job. I think Dean Pease is definitely going to double down on that and be a lot more disguising coverage. We might see more cover 2. We might see more cover 4 or whatever than we saw last year, where they were still primarily a cover 1, cover 3 scheme for the most part. So, I think you'll see a lot more mixes of coverages, but I think at the end of the day, schematically, they're not going to really change all that, or at least I'm not expecting them to be night and day different schematically. I think really my hope and my expectation for what Dean Pease is going to bring to the table is, he's known for coming up with game plans tailor-made to each opponent. It's not sort of a basic game plan that they tweak slightly each and every week for, we blitz a little bit more against this quarterback, we play a little bit more zone against this guy, or whatever the case may be, which is what we've seen the last couple of years. Like, he is much more willing to basically, look, we're going to completely revamp this thing and do something completely different than what we did last week, because that's what, this game plan requires. So I like that, but you need to be well coached and disciplined to be able to do that, right? Part of the problem the Falcons have run into, and I think this is not purely on the coaching, somewhat on the coaching, but I think ultimately the Falcons, some of the issues they've had on defense the last couple of years is the players, they had to simplify things. They had to basically, we're going to run a lot of more man coverage, because when we try to do the zone stuff, you got Isaiah Oliver running all over the place. You got Kamal Ishmael going over there. You got Ricardo Allen, DeMonte Casey, and this guy doing this and that. And we need to simplify things, right? They did it in 2016. They've done it the last couple of years. That's why we've seen them dial up their man coverage. And so my big question is, did they have to do that because, for lack of a better term, the players were too stupid to figure out the complicated stuff that they were trying to do, right? And I hate being that harsh when I say it, but like that's my biggest question mark. So like Dean Pease can do all the things that he wants to do, but if the players can't figure it out, and my concern right now for the defense is, particularly in the secondary, it looks like they're going to have to devote a lot of draft picks to building up that secondary. Right. You got AJ Terrell, you pick up Fabian Moreau, right? Eric Harris. I don't know how attached they're going to be to Isaiah Oliver and Kendall Sheffield and Jalen Hawkins and all these guys, right? So I think they're going to, it wouldn't shock me if we saw like 2, 3, 4 of their first several picks go into the secondary. So, if you're going to have a bunch of rookies out there, can you run all this complex stuff that Dean Pease wants to run? I don't know. So I'm eager to see how it all comes together, if it all comes together, because before we've kind of known what the defense was going to be, because like Dan Quinn had his style, and Raheem Morris would come in, Jeff Ulbrich come in and tweak it a little bit, and maybe it was better, maybe it was worse, or whatever the case may be. But you knew basics of what they want to do. They were going to play cover 3 on early downs. Third down, they're going to play cover 1 man defense. They're going to man up teams. They were successful doing that when they had better secondary play early in Dan Quinn's career. Not so much the last couple of years. I think that was a contributing factor why the defense didn't show the growth that we were expecting it to. But, I think Dean Pease, is he going to play that style? I don't know. So it's fascinating. Like, there's so many questions, right? And like it goes to what you're talking about, where like we can sit here and talk about all these different things of what could happen and what should happen. From my perspective, because we don't know what's going to happen, I think people should be a lot more open-minded about the possibilities and discussing and having these conversations and being like, look, I don't know, but what do you think? Oh, you think that? Oh, that's interesting. I didn't have thought of that before. I may not agree with you, but like at the same time, I'm like, right. We don't know. Like, we're all just throwing darts at a board trying to figure this thing out. So I think this is going to be an interesting time. The bottom line is, I think the team is going to have to rely heavily on their coaching, because I don't think we're going to see a team that's going to go out there and out talent teams like we expected from this team the last couple of years. So I think they have the coaches to do it, but we'll just have to see.
Well, they were damn near at the bottom of the league last year because you ain't got nowhere to go but up. But
almost every category.
but do you think that came more so for players kind of playing out of their natural positions, or do you or like you said, or you just think they just couldn't pick it up?
Let's go with all the above. I think I think like last year, and this was something I was talking about last year during the offseason when, a lot of the talk was, Raheem's going to fix it and whatnot. And I was like looking at the end of the 2019 season and seeing like, look, man, they played really well against bad quarterbacks and then not so well against good to competent quarterbacks. Like Jameis Winston had no problem picking apart that Falcons defense in those two Tampa Bay games at the end of the 2019 season, right? Now we know Jameis Winston is an MVP whenever he plays the Falcons, which is ridiculous. But like, like it was one of those things where I looked at the schedule last year and I was seeing Russell Wilson and Dak Prescott and Patrick Mahomes and Aaron Rodgers and Breeze and Brady and all these guys. And I'm like, look, if they can't get pressure on these quarterbacks, they're not going to be able to stop these guys. Right, because with this young secondary, they're not going to have the players on the back end. Plus, all the receivers they were facing, man, they were facing like literally every top receiver. Like the only two receivers that they didn't face last year that was like a top 10 receiver was Calvin Ridley and Julio Jones. Like everybody else that was on their schedule. So I think the good thing that they have this year is they're not going to face that level of quarterback play. So I think we could see more like what we saw at the end of 2019, where Kyle out when they were feasting on some bad quarterbacks. Like you're not likely. We'll see what happens with Deshaun Watson, and we'll see what happens with some of these quarterbacks as we get closer to draft. But for the most part, outside of Tom Brady, outside of Josh Allen, I guess you can throw Dak in there. You're not facing a who's who of elite quarterbacks this year. So I feel like there's potential for this defense to outperform expectations, just because like they don't need to be great to be able to slow down Daniel Jones. They don't need to be great to slow down, who else? Zach Wilson. We got a bunch of rookies. We got Jacksonville. We got the Jets. Right. We're gonna have we got San Francisco. Right. So we know we're going to be facing probably 3 rookie quarterbacks at least. Who knows what Carolina's going to do? They could take a quarterback. Right. So it's one of those things where it's like I feel like, even though I don't have a ton of confidence right now with the defense and where they're going to be, I do feel like they have a chance that if they're just good enough. And like the thing that Dean Pease specialized in wasn't like Dean Pease is not like this defensive guru or whatever the case may be. What he does really well is be this sort of bend but don't break defense. And like you couple that with the potential that this Falcons offense has that we've already talked about. Like if you can just beat a bunch of teams like 27-24, you can win a lot of games this year, So, like, I feel like the Falcons, I'm not going to sit here and say, like, the Falcons are, like, the best team in the league. Like, I don't think they're at that point yet. But I feel like they could surprise some people if they can just be this sort of disciplined team, that can be, not shoot themselves in the foot, score in the red zone, get stops in the red zone, do all those sorts of things, and, flip it where they can start winning some of these close games that they were losing last year, So, while you're not going to get me to say like, man, this Falcon team is, they're on the path to the Super Bowl, you're not going to get me to say anything like that. But like, I think they can surprise some people. So I have optimism at this point in time. This is the time in the year where you're allowed to have optimism. Ask me again in August and I'll be like, man, I saw this preseason. They got beat by whatever, like, we'll see. But like, I think they got some things that they can do on defense that can allow them to be a little bit more competitive than maybe some people. Just when you just look at the roster and you look at the depth chart and you're like, man, this defense was bad last year. They haven't really improved it. Who have they added or whatnot? But I think, I'm hoping Dante Fowler's better. I'm hoping Marlon Davidson's better. John Kaminsky's better in the front. We know Grady Jarrett's good, right? I don't think Deion Jones played. I think he arguably had his worst season So I think he can get better. I think Foye Olakun showed that he can get better. AJ Terrell can get better. So I feel like the arrow is pointing up for the Falcons defense, but like, I don't know, I'm not going to sit here and be like, yeah, they're a great defense or anything. I just think like they don't have to be great. That's the point I'm trying to make. All I have to say is like, I don't think they have to be great. They just have to be good enough.
One more question. One more question I got for you. Do you think this team will succeed if Younghoe Koo leads the league in scoring again?
Wow.
Well, I mean, like you got two types of kickers, right, that lead the league in scoring, right? You got the one who's just kicking nothing but field goals because his team can't score in the red zone, right? And then you got the guy that's on the Rams under Sean McVay or whatever, because they're just scoring 40 points a game, and he's just kicking extra points every single week. He's kicking like 8 extra points or whatever the case may be. So part of me is like, no, but the other part of me is like, maybe, maybe. We see Matt Bryant lead the league in scoring a couple of those years when the Falcons offense was clicking at the most. So I'm like, that type of season, if we're scoring 40 burgers every week, like, yeah, let Younghoe Koo lead the league in scoring that year. But like, if we're just, kicking field goals every single week and, doing whatever we were doing last year, then no, I don't want to see that happen again.
Yeah, because I know the Atlanta Falcons kickers have actually been like top 3 in scoring in fantasy football for like the last 3 or 4 years now. We don't need that no more.
Yeah, we don't need that anymore, man. That's we're going about an hour. I get one more question for you. And it's kind of outside the Atlanta Falcons and the news concerning the quarterbacks in the draft. What are your thoughts on each quarterback? We're talking Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Justin Fields. Those are pretty much the big 3 that most people are, that they're talking about. Like, what are your thoughts? We're going to say each, if you had to rank each guy, who would you rank and how would you rank those guys?
Well, I'll be honest with you, Mike. I've been procrastinating on watching the quarterbacks, right? Like I've been like, do I have to watch them this weekend?
You have to watch them. You just said everything right there. You don't have to keep going.
So there,
right there.
I mean, like I could rank them, but I'll be honest with you. Once I actually sit down and watch these guys, because I do plan on doing it. I've just been procrastinating. Right. It might change. So I think Trevor Lawrence is clearly one. Who's 2? I have no idea, man. I have no idea. Because like I think each one has strengths that you like. Right. Each one has weaknesses that you like. And it just depends on what you like.
Right.
And it just one day I'll be like, look, I seen the things that Zach Wilson is doing, just throwing off platform. It's reminding me a lot of what Aaron Rodgers does, and I like that on that day. But then I look at like Trey Lance and look at the arm strength and the mobility and seeing like, look, if you want a guy that on 3rd and 11 that can run for a first down, Trey Lance is that guy, and also he can throw for a first down. And then Justin Fields has like the same thing, like to me, he's the player that Justin Fields reminds me of is Cam Newton, but like he's way more accurate than Cam Newton is. So like that's also intriguing to me at the same time. So it just depends on the day you catch me, like what mood I'm in for, it's like Trevor Lawrence is clearly one, but in terms of the other guys, and then like you look at Mac Jones, like I don't have a problem with Mac Jones. I'm not as intrigued by him as the other quarterbacks, but like, he's fine. Like I can win with him. I think he's a playoff caliber quarterback. I don't know if he's the guy that, you definitely want to be like, this is my franchise. I'm going to build my team around him for the next 10, 15 years. But I certainly think he's more than capable of winning, football games at the next level.
Hey, I love it, man. I love it. Well, let's kind of bring it to an end, man. We absolutely enjoyed, man. Where can everyone kind of find you, man?
Well, I want to say I appreciate you guys having me on. Let me have the opportunity to go off on some of these rants that I went on tonight. I don't get that opportunity all the time. So, I appreciate that. But, if people want to check me out, occasionally I'll go on a rant on Locked On Falcons. Usually it builds up over time, as you guys can tell now from listening to me for the last hour. I have some thoughts. But like, if people want to check me out, Locked On Falcons on whatever podcast platform you're looking for, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. This is the season. April's coming up, and going to devote a lot of the content on that podcast for the next month devoted to the draft. I'm going to have a lot of great guests coming on and give their thoughts on it because, look, as I said, I have no idea who's good or not. Right. I'll let the other people give their opinions and we'll figure it out. So people, of course, can check me out there. And of course, if they want snarky Falcons commentary on Twitter, I'm the place to go, at Falcons. And, yes. If you don't mind reading tweets where you don't know if I'm being sarcastic or not, and you're just like, is he being serious? Falcons fans might be the account for you. Now, if you want someone that's super serious all the time, maybe not for you. But I like to toe that line of like, is he being sarcastic? That's where I'm at. That's where I live.
Hey man, I love it, man. That's why I follow you, man. I appreciate you for coming on and spending time with us, man. This has been it's been a journey, man. I'll say that. I've like I said, I watched you for a while, and it's been close to a decade that I've been, following you. So I appreciate you, man. Again, man, whenever you feel the need that you want to rant and Locked On Podcast is not the place for you, this Atlanta Falcons Nation, man, Mike Sports is the place for you, man. All right. So thank you, man. Appreciate it.
Look, Mike, and I told you before, look, I did Falcons for a long time. And, all I wanted to do was to, inspire people. And if that website just occupies like a little corner of your brain and being like, look, I appreciate that website, then I feel like mission accomplished. Because as I said earlier, there were some times over the last several years where I was like, why am I doing this? Like, does anybody care about this? So I do appreciate that kind words and much respect to you.
I copied your theme. Look, your website was exactly what I copied from almost verbatim. All right. It was like I said, man, you were one of the ones, you, Matt Carey, so many other guys, man. Like seriously, this is me being absolutely 100% real with you. Like, you've inspired me, you inspire others. They may not say it, but you definitely inspire. So I appreciate it, man. Everything that you've done, man, you continue to do. God bless you, man. And like I said, man, I totally appreciate it.
Yeah, you guys keep doing your thing. There's plenty of space out here for everybody to give their Falcons takes. And, I appreciate, sometimes people will get into it, online and whatnot and have a war of words. But at the end of the day, if you have enough respect to talk these things out, not take things too personally and whatnot, and be like, look, we may disagree on what the Falcons should do, who they should sign at the end of the day, but we're all out here trying to support each other. We're all, we all have the same end goal in the end. We want the Falcons to be good, and we want to be able to root for our favorite football team. So I think, you guys keep doing you, and you have my support.
Absolutely. Thank you, man. Appreciate that, bro.
Hey, it was an honor. I'll tell you that much.
All right, man. I look forward to next time you guys have me back on when I can go off on my next rant.
We wait for you. We're gonna have a special theme song for you too when you do.
All right, man. I appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good night.
You too, man. Appreciate
you too, man.
Hey, man. Oh, we can get into the questions now, man. I hope you guys absolutely enjoyed it. Like I said, man, this is just a place, Atlanta Falcons Nation, man, Mike Sports, kicking it with K-Styles, man. Like, this is what we do. We are here to do nothing but, bring everybody together, man, because, look, this is Atlanta Falcons Nation. We are the nation. When you're talking about we're talking about the Matt Ryan haters. We're talking about the Matt Ryan supporters, the Michael Vick supporters, the Mike Vick haters. Like, we are all one, all right? We don't have to have the same take. This is what makes Atlanta Falcons Nation so, different from the other. But K-Star, you want to get into some comments? If that's okay.
Man. Yeah, because I know the people, they've been in here. They got their conversation going on. Like I said, Like I said, we pretty much been seeing Asia Green, Alex Edwardson here, Devon Stanford. We got Ricky Fontaine, Pretty Ricky, what they called him.
Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
Like I said, Miss Maggie T in this thing. Stone Decatur, Concerto Grande. Like I said, if we didn't say your name during the interview, like I said, we just wanted to show him the proper respect and let him get whatever he had off his chest.
Absolutely.
So now this part of the show is y'all show. This is where y'all come in at. And let's get it, GA. What's happening, homie? Mark Howard, we appreciate the love, homie. Like I said, we just trying to do this thing. We try to do it right, man. Try to do it the right way. But yeah, like I said, pretty much what I've seen so far more so is everybody kind of talk about that number 4 pick, and as far as like the quarterbacks and stuff, because like I said, it was a kind of a little bit of a Justin Fields kind of conversation going on back over here. But like I said, it just comes down to what we've all been saying. It's because we don't know what is going to happen. And now that San Francisco got that 3rd pick now, we really about to find out how this draft about to go.
Yeah, I like honestly, man, this is one of the first times like I absolutely have no idea. And this is the reason why we bring guys on like Aaron Freeman, Torrey, McElhaney, just so many, Matt Carroll. Like we bring on these people to kind of get a feel of what may happen with the Atlanta Falcons. And again tonight, it's like it's just when you look at it, the Falcons are just like I have a feeling that what they're doing with this team is just they're committing to Matt Ryan and they're committing to winning, but they're also building a foundation for the future. It's like we're getting the best of both worlds. Like I know a lot of people want to rebuild, and they're getting a rebuild. We're getting a rebuild as well as we're trying to win games. And that's the reason why I've said before, it's like, for me personally, I don't give a damn who the quarterback is. Like, I honestly don't give a damn who the quarterback is. I don't care if it's Matt Ryan. I don't care if it's Trevor Lawrence. I don't care if it's Justin Fields. I want what's best for this team. Because one player, as we've seen, even in Matt Ryan's best year, his MVP year, we still lost. Why? Because we didn't make the best decisions from a coaching staff, from a coaching perspective. The defense couldn't get any stops in the second half. Like them dudes went like they scored like 30-something points. They scored 27 unanswered points in the second half of the game. It was 28-3 in the third quarter. 28-3 in the third quarter, and they could not stop. They couldn't stop. So I don't give a damn who the quarterback is. Like we're talking about an MVP, future Hall of Famer, and a Hall of Fame receiver on one team, and that couldn't get us over the hump. So you got that, man. It's like, look, we need to build this team the right way, because obviously having great players is just not enough. Got to have a great team, and you got to have a good front office. You got to have a good coaching staff. So, man.
Okay, yeah, I see a couple comments here that I gotta chime in on a little bit here. Here you go, Ricky Fontaine, Pretty Ricky, what they called him.
Pretty Ricky, what they call him.
Said what? He basically asked them if they stayed at 4. He said, "What are your thoughts if the Falcons stayed at 4 and traded back to get another first round, sitting somewhere between 10 and 20, knowing it's not the smartest financially, but it could be possible." Like I said, and Aaron said it best. The draft is unpredictable. Lord have mercy, it is unpredictable. Like I said, Mitchell Trubisky got drafted ahead of Patrick Mahomes and Deshaun Watson. That was just 4 years ago.
Yeah. Think about that.
Baker Mayfield went number 1 overall 3 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Like that. And when you got guys like Mel Kiper Jr., who is overhyping a lot of these players, it doesn't really help them, it hurts them. So that's the beauty of the draft. The beauty of the draft is we don't know. Like I said, and we have a regime with Fontenot, Arthur Smith. They're not giving you a game plan. They're not.
Right.
They're not giving you what they're trying to do. They're basically throwing every scenario out there. So okay, pick which one you want to roll with, and that's a good one there. Like I said, that's kind of where we have to be at a mindset. We have to be ready for anything.
Anything, right? And
Because if you're stuck on one idea and then you penalize the team because it didn't match with your idea. See, now you're being unrealistic. So we like I said, we right here, like I said, we will support Matt Ryan as a quarterback here. If they draft the quarterback with 4, okay, whatever. That's the decision they want to go to. Now, if they went to the number 4 overall pick and they ended up drafting a punter or something, then we really
don't. Oh, we don't need that. We don't need that.
No.
No.
You really gonna get a rant in here. You talking about?
Oh man, you talking about
crazy like that? Okay, hold on. Tony Wright got a question here for me. I'm gonna let you answer it too. He said, Ryan Kerrigan is available, 10.5 sacks or more this year. He's the third DN in Washington's rotation. He had 5.5 sacks, 2020. Should we go after him? I don't. That sounds good, but he's gonna cost you.
Right.
He's gonna cost you because he has those sack numbers. He's an impact player, so I don't think we should sign him. Like I said, you can get that in the draft. You can get that. You can get that in the draft. That's right now. This is where, like Mike said, building that foundation through this draft is key number 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think about that, Mike?
One thing that I've noticed throughout the years is that we've seen more teams often overpaid veteran guys when they could have got the exact same thing in the draft. You got guys like, let's just look at Dante Fowler, for example. Like, we could have got that bullshit in the draft. Like, we didn't have to pay him almost 40 million for that shit. Like, we could have got that bullshit in the damn draft. Like, we didn't have to do that. When he got one sack or something like that, I forget the sack total, but like, we could have got that shit.
Ooh, Dante Fowler.
He got what, 1 sack, 2 sacks, or something like that?
I think it was like 2. I think it was like 2 sacks.
2.5 sacks or something like that.
Let me clarify this. You keep going, Mike. I'm gonna go ahead and clarify it.
We could have got that bullshit in damn. Draft. Like, we didn't have to pay $30 million for that shit. Like, come on, let's be real.
Shit, you could have went to Home Depot and got somebody off the side of the road to get 2 sacks.
Yeah, you could have. George Smith at the age 40, 50 years old, he could do that bullshit at his age. Like, we don't need to pay $30 million for that. So
get Michael Strahan ass off a good ball.
Right, we don't need to overpay for that. So it's like, yeah, these names are great and these guys would be exciting, but like, yeah, he got 3 sacks. I'm seeing people saying he got 3 sacks. But yeah, we'll get the numbers. But we don't need to pay, $5-10 million for a guy like Ryan Kerrigan because of his resume. Like, a lot of these guys are being paid because of their resume, not necessarily what they're doing on the field. They are like impact players. So for me personally, we have impact player. We have an 8 impact player on the defensive line already in Grady Jarrett. Go ahead.
I just found out. Okay, so you remember, like you said, about Dante Fowler taking that pay cut, right?
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know they voided his final year.
Yeah, they voided the final year. Yep. So
Wow.
he pretty much agreed to take a pay cut so he can become a free agent when it all comes down to it. Like you either, we give you something, 3 sacks. Wow. Wow. We could have paid. Look, we could have brought Adrian Claiborne back for $2 million to get 3 sacks, and we want to pay him 30 for that. Like that's like you heard Aaron was talking about that about bringing in role players, and we want to pay these role players $20-30 million just to be role players. Talking about Jamon Brown and James Carpenter, we paid those guys over about $30 million to play a role. We got it. That's where the money. Everybody talking about Matt Ryan's contract, Julio contract, Devontae Freeman. The reason why we suck the way we suck is because we gave way too much money to role players like Derek Shelby. This dude got like $15 million to do nothing. That's it. His name was just on the damn roster. That's it. His name was on the damn depth chart. The dude did nothing. Guys like what was the other defensive tackle that we brought in? Good God. Did absolutely nothing. Like we just wasted so many assets with this team. We just paying so much money for these guys, and these guys do absolutely nothing. So Ryan Kerrigan, yeah, he got an impressive resume, but like 5.5 sacks, I think you can get that from. I think you can get that from 2 or 3 players, and you can pay them less than $5 million. So I'm not paying $5 million for one player when I can get 3 players for $5 million. You know what I'm saying? Like I think that it's more so like Drew always preached this. We gotta have depth on the defensive line. And I think where Thomas Dimitrov went wrong is like he wanted superstars all the time. Like sometimes you gotta let the players become superstars instead of looking for superstars, if you understand what I'm saying. Like you gotta make these guys like that, you gotta make them prove something before you label them a superstar and pay them like superstars. And that's something that we did. We labeled guys superstars and gave them money. And once we gave them their money, they just stopped playing.
But but by you saying that, it just lets you know that he didn't have confidence in his coaching ability to really coach them guys up to be those superstars. He was
Absolutely.
somebody established. And like I said, shouts out to Maurice Amy for this. He said this was one of his favorite shows from us today. Like I said, we appreciate it.
That's like I said, man, we are not experts. All right. We do our homework, we do our research, but if we can provide, the platform to bring on, guys like Aaron Freeman, Matt Curley, Torrey McElhaney, like that's what we're here for. We're here to help inform because we already know that ESPN, they may give us goddamn a half a second on live TV, and that's about it. They'll show the damn score and they'll go to something else. That's pretty much how they treat us. So it's like you don't get this anywhere. We're talking about Falcons fans from New York to California to Mexico to France to the UK. Like we don't get a lot of love and respect. So this is what Atlanta Falcons Nation is all about.
Hey, here you go right here. Radiant Media in due time. He said, Toy last night, Aaron today. Good show, fellas.
Hey man, we appreciate it, man. We definitely appreciate it. Like I said, man, that we do it for the people. We do it for the people. Addicted for
the people.
We did it for the people. Hey, y'all probably don't know what the hell we talking about. We some wrestling fans, man. We wrestling fans, so that probably goes a lot of people here.
They know. Okay, we got another question right here. We got Concerto Grande said, how much credit does Dan Quinn get for Grady Jarrett?
You want me to go first?
Good question too.
I'll say this. When you get into the bottom half of the fifth round and whatnot, like oftentimes, the fourth and fifth rounds, you're just looking at guys that are just that good at one thing. And like one thing that great Dan Quinn has always been good at is finding guys who can play a specific role, and that's just playing that three technique. So it's like, yeah, that's more of his expertise is finding those defensive linemen like a Courtney Upshaw, Grady Jarrett, like those type of guys. Like Marlon Davidson, I think he's going to be a guy that can play that three tech in the near future as well. We've never had issues generating pressure from the inside. Like even when he first got here, like one of the things that he did well as a coach is would generate pressure from the inside. He's always been able to do that as a defensive coordinator. You go back to the Seattle days with Michael Bennett. So it's like I'm not going to say that he didn't, contribute to that part, but like Grady Jarrett was a freak of nature. It's like you go back and look at his scouting report. They actually had him as a second round talent. They had him ranked as a second round talent, but being that he was he was only 6 feet and he was at the time about 280, 290, he didn't fit the bill for a guy that could, at the time, even Aaron Donald didn't fit the bill as a true defensive tackle. That's why he fell as low as he did, even though he was one of the, the most dominant players even in college. Aaron Donald was a beast in college. And you go back to his days at Clemson. They said it did. It's like Grady Jarrett was like Vic Beasley getting all the sacks, but Grady was doing all the dirty work at Clemson. He was the one causing the ruckus in the middle of the field. So, like, I don't want to necessarily say that Dan Quinn didn't contribute to that because he obviously knows what he's doing as far as like defensive tackles, getting pass rush from the defensive tackles. But Grady Jarrett is just a damn beast. That's the son of the hammer, man. So that dude was bound for greatness.
And you say Aaron Donald was a beast in college. Don't remind me. Don't remind me.
We know.
Well, he ate that Georgia Tech triple option up like it was some Lunchables, boy.
My goodness.
But that's like you said, that's the one thing everybody forget. Aaron Donald's like this big, swole, gargantuan guy, but you have to think he's really undersized.
Mm-hmm.
He's just powerful as hell.
He is.
Dude, 6 foot, 276 pounds.
That's it.
That's it.
Everybody look at him like he's big, but he's short and stout. Like the dude is
exactly. But like you said, that's the difference between Aaron Donald and Grady Jarrett is Grady Jarrett hasn't came around to finishing plays.
Mm-hmm. That's it.
Aaron Donald is finishing plays.
Oh no, they didn't do him like that. See, that's we can't do K-Styles like that. How y'all gonna do K-Styles like that? You can't do us like that, man. No, but it goes into what we continuously say about this just the entire draft itself, like as far as Grady Jarrett as a pass rusher, but Grady Jarrett as a pass rusher, man, like one of the criticism that I always, I say as far as Grady Jarrett is concerned, it's like he got to get over that 10 sacks. Like he's too damn good to not have 10 sacks a season. He's consistently in the backfield, and I think maybe it has to do with our edge guys not being very good or consistent. Like we haven't had any consistency from either of um our our edge guys, whether it's Vic Beasley or Tack McKinley, and we just haven't had any consistency. So maybe that is a contributing factor of Grady not having double-digit sacks, because you got a guy like Dante Fowler. We saw what Dante Fowler did when he was, right along. So like, I don't know what the issue is. If we see Grady Jarrett get 10 sacks plus this year, then we'll know that it was coaching, because we on right now we only got inexperienced defensive ends. We're talking about Marlon Davidson and John Kaminsky. Those are pretty much our guys. Dante Fowler, he's another guy. That's all we got. So if he end up getting 10 sacks this year plus, then we know that Dan Quinn held him back just with the scheme itself. So this is an interesting year, and I think this is one of the reasons why the Falcons are not panicking and they're not getting rid of everybody, because we don't know what these guys are. We don't know, because they played in a bull crap scheme. All they want to do is play damn cover 3 all freaking day. So that's we don't know. I think this is the year, and this is going to see whether we move on from Matt Ryan, we move on from Julio Jones, Grady Jarrett, Dion, and start rebuilding. This is the year. If we start off, hot, and we continue to do, then we know that this team for sure, for certain. And I don't think anybody can deny the fact, if this team has a losing record again, even with the changes, then we know that we need to start rebuilding.
I got it. I got some stats here for you.
Stats.
Grady Jarrett in 6 years has 26 sacks.
Wow.
Aaron Donald in 7 years has 87 sacks.
Yeah, that's what I'm. This man got 87 sacks, and golly, like, that's not even fair, man. That dude is just an absolute animal, man. That dude is an absolute animal.
But the thing about Grady Jarrett gets backfield pressure just as consistently as him.
He can't finish.
And like I said, and Grady's highest sack total he had in a season was 7.5, and that was 2 years ago.
Yeah. Man. Okay, here's a question from what's his name? No, that's not it. Dang, these things be moving fast, man. Excuse me.
Yeah, I know. I did my stat checking. Oh, here you go. There you go. Marlon make a step up this year. He might as well make a step up. He really didn't play much last year.
He didn't play worth of crap, man. He didn't play last year, so like, I think he has the ability. He obviously has the ability. I think you playing against a guy. What's his name? Derek Brown. Playing against a guy like Brown.
Yeah.
Like, you got, like, he created more havoc, believe it or not, than Brown. When he was at Auburn, like, he was amazing. Like, you can ask Jew. Jew is an Auburn fan, and like, Marlon Davidson was an absolute beast at Auburn. But like, again, being in a system where the Falcons, they play in a cover 3, it has to be conducive to everyone. The system has to be conducive to everybody's skill set. Everybody has to kind of be on one accord. That their skills complement each other. And I don't think in a Dan Quinn system, him being an edge was just not. We needed pressure, and we needed a guy with a great get off. And being that Grady Jarrett is that guy that played at 3 tech, that position is already locked. And we can't stop the run. We got small linebackers, so you're not going to have two guys that are playing at, Grady Jarrett is at 300. He kind of, fluctuates from 290 to 300. And you got another guy who's just as small as Grady Jarrett and Marlon Davis. So you can't put those guys in the middle of the field. Your damn linebacker is just going to get ate up. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. I don't know where you're going to do with Marlon Davis. Like, I don't know what they're going to do with him. Maybe he can be that guy that spells Grady Jarrett. That's what I'm thinking that'll be his role, but it's going to be difficult to try to see if he's an edge guy. He's going to have to lose weight in order to play that edge. And I'm saying, like, get back to around 280.
I don't think you got to get that light. He probably, I say, maybe like 290, 295. Yeah, if he can get about that 295, I think he like, and he can actually get a full training camp with, because like I said, you remember, he was hurt coming out the draft.
Right.
Lord have mercy. How many times we done had to say that?
We heard that. Right.
Then when he got healthy, he caught COVID. So he missed a few games on that. Got hurt again. So we, like I said, we're basically gonna be judging him as if he was a rookie this upcoming season. Hey, Rodney Brown made this point right here, and I've been saying this all. Matt Schaub got paid bank to hand Ryan the clipboard with
and that's and that's what I mean. That's what I'm not saying that Ryan Kerrigan is a bad player, but I'm tired of playing these damn players all this. Like we're bringing in quality players and they're like barely doing it. Like they doing crap for this team. Paying them all this money not to do anything. Like I'm so sick of, like I'm so tired of paying guys and they're doing like absolutely nothing. I don't know why we bring in. It's like we drafting guys like Dejan Sinat, third overall pick. Like if we were gonna do that, we should have just traded the damn third. Like we should have traded that third round to move up in the draft for a guy that you know is going to get playing time. It's like we're just wasting picks. We're wasting money. And like I'm just done with, bringing in guys like Ryan Kerrigan. It's like, yeah, he's had some success and he has an impressive resume. He has an impressive skill set. But if he's going to give me 5 sacks and he's not going to be an impact player, man, I'm tired of, like, I'm to the point where I'm tired of paying, someone else's trash to come here. And I can just develop. I would much rather develop my talent than continuously paying all these free agents to come in and do absolutely diddly squat to give us 3 freaking sacks or 5 freaking sacks. We done gave this man $30 million just to give us 3 sacks, 5 sacks. I'm tired of
that. Not 3 sacks in one game.
3 sacks the whole
3 sacks in a 5-game span. 3 sacks in a season, and wait a minute. They said it's. Hold on, I just seen something that I don't know if you saw my face, but I think I saw something that kind of threw me off guard here.
Mm-hmm.
They talk about the Buccaneers are looking to get Larry Fitzgerald.
Larry Fitzgerald? They trying to become the damn New England Patriots. Not even New England Patriots. Who they trying to be with all them old ass, like them old ass men on that damn team?
The 02 Raiders.
Yeah, the damn 02 Raiders, all them old ass. But like, look, that man gonna get y'all. Look, y'all win 1 damn Super Bowl, and I could easily say that shit was fixed too with that bullshit ass damn NFC Championship where they call it flag. The whole first half of the game was good, and then the second half of the damn game, they want to goddamn throw flag after flag after flag after flag. Like, bro, they went crazy berserk. That man got the Super Bowl. Like, man, get out of here with that bull crap.
Yeah, like I said, it's so crazy. And I just saw something here. I don't know if it's true or not, but I guess apparently they talking about Pittsburgh might be getting Antonio Brown back. I don't know how for sure this is.
Why?
That's what I'm saying, bro. This is crazy.
What the hell?
That's what I'm saying. I'm looking like
y'all did all of that just to bring him back, man. I hope it ain't. I
hope it ain't true, boy. Because if that is true,
did all that just to bring him back, man. That was just Lord have mercy. I hope that's not.
I guess after Chase Claypool got in that bar fight, I think they looking for anybody. And they found out Juju Smith-Schuster ain't nothing but a three at best.
Yo, and you know what's crazy, man? They sent him out. Like they got rid of Antonio Brown to hand Juju the keys to the offense, only to get rid of him the following. Like, what the hell? Pittsburgh, I don't know. I don't know what they doing. Maybe it's Ben Roethlisberger got way too much power, or they just getting old up there. But that damn franchise is, I don't know what's going on. That makes absolute no sense.
But there's another story talking about it. Like I said, Juju and T.Y. Hilton turned down Ravens offers. And I guess somebody asking the question is, why is all these receivers turning down Baltimore? Because you're not finna get no shine in that offense.
No, you ain't getting no shine in that offense. And that's what we're talking about. If the Falcons offered those guys money, man, they would be here in a heartbeat because they know they're going to catch the ball. And a lot of receivers just divas, man. Let's just be honest. A lot of these damn receivers, they divas and they want the ball. So, and they know they get paid by their numbers. And, you go to the Ravens, you ain't going to get no numbers.
Let's see what other questions. I saw a couple questions up here too. I gotta get back to it. Everybody looking like Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald, man.
I'm like, God damn. I'm like, hold on.
All the people you bring, like him old behind, let that man retire. Sit your ass down. I know your old ass ankles hurt. Damn.
I'm gonna hit Nathan up on this one. He said Matt Ryan doesn't get hurt. Should we still play the backup? I don't get the clipboard statement. No, basically, what they saying as far as the backup part of it is, Matt Schaub has averaged making almost $10 to $12 million a year holding the clipboard. That's a budding joke there.
Waste of money.
Right. Instead of like I said, I understand as a veteran, he's a veteran. He's been in the league a long time, so he kind of see things on another scale. Like I said, and I guarantee you this: within 5 years, you're gonna see Matt Schaub's name come up in a coaching position.
I can see that.
But that was like one of those cases where like as a backup quarterback, you could still have Schaub, but you still want that other quarterback that you wanted to groom. Like Ben Kurt, I think that was the one they was trying to groom, but the issue was he kept getting hurt. And Danny Etling, they didn't give him a chance at all.
Right.
So that's how it goes with that one. And Boomer Falcon said we don't have the cap to hire a new quarterback. Wow.
Man, look. All right, look, you ain't gotta look, we're talking about a backup quarterback. Most of those guys won't see the damn field.
Exactly.
Right? Most of the guys will not see the field. So why pay a guy $5 million just to sit behind, a quarterback like Matt Ryan or whomever? Why pay them all that money just to sit behind them? Like they gave Jameis Winston $2 million to sit behind Drew Brees. Why the hell we giving them $5 million just to sit behind Matt Ryan? Like that's overpaying, and that's what I'm talking about. Like with Thomas Dimitrov, he overpaid for crap players. These players are not giving us any production. They're not playing, so you just wasted, an extra $3 million. You overpaid for you gave them an extra $3 million just to sit behind Matt Ryan. That's it. He's never gonna see the field, but you paying him $5 million just to sit, and then you complain about not being able to get this guy, and you could have gave the other guy an extra $3 million, but you gave that $3 million, you gave $5 million to a guy like Matt Sharp. That's just not smart money.
Yeah, remember, they gave up paying Patrick DeMarco to pay Matt Sharp the same money that DeMarco wanted.
Just another dumb decision by Thomas Dimitrov. He made so many dumbass damn decisions. Like, good gracious, like.
All right, Mike, I want you to hit this one up right here. Ghost Pepper said, how badly do y'all think the Denver Broncos will want the number 4 pick from us?
I mean, as long as John Elway's running things, like he gonna look at it. The thing I think what's wrong with Denver is just like sometimes former players make the worst coaches or scouts because they look at everybody like them. Like everybody ain't damn John Elway. Exactly. It's like they didn't even get a dude like a real shot if you really want to look at it. Like they want a quarterback that's on immediately get them to the Super Bowl, and you're not really giving Drew Lock like the right weapons. You're giving him a good defense, but he don't really have any weapons on the offense side of the ball. So like, is he really that bad? I don't think he is, but I don't think he's that good, but I don't think he's that bad. Like you're giving up on him. I think they're just looking for somebody to be out the gate a special quarterback, and that's my issue. And being that they're looking for a guy to be special, they're willing to try to trade up to that position to get somebody like a Mac Jones. I at this point in time, if the rumors are true, when they're talking about D-Led, they're expecting Lawrence to go 1, Zach Wilson to go 2, and Fields to go 3, then that fight for Trevor Lawrence and Trey Lance is that right there is going to be a heated, like people are going to be willing to give up everything, to be honest, to move up that spot if they believe in those guys. So it's like, maybe, I don't know. It just depends on how bad they want it. I'm not sure.
Yeah, but you know what I said about that San Francisco pick, and I'm thinking outside the box, and I might be the only one to think this, but there are people saying that it'll be most likely a quarterback. I think they might make a run at Penny Sewell.
Hey, look,
they want Justin. Or Kyle Pitts, as some they were saying in the chat earlier, or Kyle, like you said, the evil empire Kyle Shanahan might.
He might just do something just to be a butthole. I'm gonna take the best player just to be a butthole.
That's how they did it. That's how they did with Javon Kinlaw, because we was expected to get Kinlaw.
I was so mad when that happened. I said, you mother freak. I was mad as hell when that happened. And he does stuff like that. Like they do, like they does it like that. So like, yeah, I don't trust Kyle Shanahan, man. I don't trust that.
So Proven said Jacoby Brissett, let's go. I was about to say Jacoby Brissett's in Miami now, so that dream got killed. That's who I was wanted as a backup with Jacoby Brissett, but he in Miami now. There you go. Quint Will said we let DeMarco go for All Pro Keith Smith. No, not for Keith Smith. We let DeMarco go for Ricky Ortiz.
Ricky Ortiz. Ricky Ortiz, okay? We're not talking about Ortiz. We're talking about Ricky Ortiz. Like, good God Almighty. Never even really heard of that dude like that, and we end up giving away a Pro Bowler for that.
Right.
Oh, he was asking what, $5 million or something like that. He wasn't even asking for much.
It was like he wanted like 3 years, like $12 million. They didn't even want to pay him that. Hold on. Let's go ahead and get that right there. Is there a big body receiver we could use? Like, oh, there's a big body that you could draft this year, and that's TJ Vasher.
Yeah, Vasher is a damn monster, man.
TJ Vasher is a beast.
I don't want a big body receiver. Like, we got big bodies. I'm not worried about big bodies. I always said that we need somebody with, that lateral quickness. We got guys that are, they got straight line speed, but we don't have a lot of guys with lateral quickness that are quick. You know what I'm saying? They can break defenders down. Like, that's why I say a guy like Jalen Waddle, man. Like, Waddle is that perfect. Like, he'll bring that perfect balance to what this offense needs. We got guys with straight line speed. We got guys with power. We got guys like Calvin Ridley who can run any route. But Jalen Waddle, you put the ball in his hand in the open field, like, this dude can take it to the house at any given time. He got that type of talent. He reminds me of a lot like Tyreek Hill. He has that type of speed and that type of quickness. You put him alongside Julio in the middle of the field, and you gotta double those guys, and you just leave him in the middle, one-on-one with a linebacker or a safety, he gonna murk them dudes, man. So, like, that's what I believe that the Falcons need.
I like this question here. Antonio Holloway said, who do y'all think is the most underrated Falcons player in team history?
Ooh. Wow.
There's a lot of them. You said one of the most underrated players. I got one for you right now. Terrence Mathis.
Oh, yeah. I was going there too.
Like I said, you got Terrence Mathis, Allen Rossum. I'm just going off of players that I've seen that nobody talks about. Like I said, Patrick DeMarco. Like I said, we just talked about him. One of my personal favorites, Bob Christian.
Yeah.
I'm a fullback junkie, so yeah, Bob Christian was very underrated. Jonathan Babineau is another one.
Yeah, I'll say this one. Like, he don't get a lot of credit, but it's like I was looking at his stats, and a lot of people probably don't know who the hell this guy is. But if you go back and look at his stats, man, he was a damn good pass rusher from the inside. And Rod Coleman is one of the most underrated. Rod Coleman is an absolute beast. And when you look at his numbers next to Warren Sapp, who's a Hall of Famer, it's like, how the hell he's not even getting consideration for a Hall of Fame? And his numbers are damn near identical to Warren Sapp. Like, he doesn't get any respect. So that guy, he's definitely one of the most underrated Falcons in history. Like, even the Falcons don't really give him, show him any type of love. Like, nobody says anything about Rod Coleman. Everybody bring up Johnny Abraham, Chuck Smith, but you look at Rod Coleman, that dude wreaked havoc for us for a long time.
Rod Coleman was Grady Jarrett.
Grady Jarrett before Grady Jarrett, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. That was one of my favorite Falcons for a long time was Rod Coleman. Let's see who else I can put up there. Okay, Algie Crumpler gets his love, so I can't put him in there. Damn. probably pretty much named all of them.
Yeah, I think that's pretty
a
much
lot of. Oh, Ovi Mahaley.
yeah, yeah.
He don't get no love like that. Not from
Stuff like that, and they are a vital part of football. That's why it's starting to come back because all of these spread offenses and whatnot. You got to have a fullback that's going to have the ability to not only block, but he got to catch the ball out of the backfield. I mean, I haven't seen no damn Claude Humphrey. I've never seen Claude Humphrey, so I can't speak on Claude Humphrey. The Falcons. Don Lovato. Ha ha ha. The Falcons are sorry. Yeah, I think we know that. That's why we went 4-12, you dumb motherfucker. My bad. Yeah, I remember Anton Smith. That was another guy that I like. Shoot. There's so many. There really so many. Jacquez is the guy that was pretty good. Damn, anybody got it? Yeah, I didn't see Chad Lavallee. I haven't seen that name in a while. Yeah, I haven't seen Chad Lavallee. That name, I haven't seen that name in a minute, man.
Wait a minute. Did I just
Joe Horn, he was a pretty good one, but he kind of came at the end of his career and helped really teach Roddy how to be a professional, and that's kind of where Roddy kind of turned the corner when Joe Horn came on. So got to get Joe Horn. Hey, we might end but had an opportunity to draft his son. We don't know. JC Horn, man, like we that's a possibility he can be a Falcon. So yeah, man, it's so many underrated players. Like even this player, like a lot of people probably say it's like underrated, but Jesse Tuggle, man, Jesse Tuggle don't get enough credit. Like he's one of those. He's like one of the greatest. The hammer. All right, it's like when you look at Grady Jarrett, man, like that's pops. That's why he's so damn good. What he is that DNA, man. Look, that dude was an absolute monster. That dude was a beast. Like almost 200 tackles. Like that dude was getting 200 tackles like it was nothing. He was doing that like nothing, bro. But like that dude was everything. He was good he was a complete linebacker. He was good in coverage and he was great in the run game. So like Jesse Tuggle don't get any respect, man. They don't even bring his name up. They want to bring up Brian Urlacher. You put him with that damn defensive line that they had in Chicago. Jesse Tuggle be damn just as good. Jesse Tuggle don't get enough respect.
And you have to remember, Jesse Tuggle was an undersized linebacker at the time where the average linebacker was 250 pounds.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
A10 Ashton said, I hope Kyle Shanahan didn't jump us to take Kyle Pitts. We said, we won't be surprised.
Hey, man, like I said, that dude, I don't like him, man. Like, I don't trust that dude, and I don't trust Kyle Shanahan. And quite honestly, man, like I said, man, he did us like that last year with Kinlaw. They knew what the hell they was doing when they did that. And if he do that, like if that happens again, when they turn around and take Kyle Pitts, I'm gonna be mad as hell. Like seriously.
But man, like I said, this was a very eventful show tonight.
Mm-hmm.
Like I said, we got good information. Like I said, we chopped it up with Aaron Freeman.
Man, and absolutely.
Like I said, it was good to hear for y'all to hear another perspective outside of us. Cause I know half the time y'all tired of looking at us talking about every week.
Right.
So I guess we can go ahead and plug away. Make sure y'all thumbs up the video. Make sure y'all follow
Absolutely, man.
Falcons Nation. Make sure you follow Mad Mike Sports, Mad Mike Network, the Just K Style channel. I'm slowly creeping up. I'm now up to needing about 778 people.
Hey, man.
Hey, Don Lovato, we appreciate you, man. Shoot.
Yeah, man, we definitely appreciate it, man. Hit that subscribe button, man. You got people, that's just love. Just share it with the people, man. Just tell them, like, you don't have to be a Falcons fan just to come in. You can be a Saints fan. It doesn't mean Bucks fan. We welcome all Dallas Cowboy fans. If you just love the show and just love the information that we, provide, but you just love us, just you think we just hilarious or we entertaining, just go ahead and hit that subscribe button. I appreciate it, man. Like I truly do.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Look. He said, wait. You see that? They ain't get him in a while. He said, I can't wait till we get more powder.
Oh, the Power Toast Award.
Oh, man.
We haven't done that one in a minute.
I know. It's been the off season. The off season's been long.
Yeah, it's kind of, we kind of say that for the season, but unless somebody do something really dumb.
Or we might do the powder toast. We might let y'all vote to see who get the ultimate powder toast for the 2020 season.
Oh, that's new. Ooh,
we might let y'all do that. Like I said, y'all make sure y'all leave comments and stuff, not only here on the videos, but in the Discord as well. Like I said, y'all leave y'all votes down there. We can do the ultimate powder toast award show for who y'all vote. And like I said, hey, got to give y'all what y'all want. And who the hell brought up Peerless Price name?
Hey, man, we don't use that name right here. We don't use that name right here. Not no damn Peerless Price.
Like I said, but like I said, on one of these shows, hold on, wait a minute, Nathan, Gay son said, "Case that if you guys don't, hold on, if you show same live videos, you might get more followers, but everyone goes to Mike because more people to chat." Yeah, that could be that way.
It's time, man. Give it time, man. This man just really started, man. Everybody look at our channel being at 5, but like a lot of people don't know, man. I've been doing this for about 2.5 years, man. So it's been a grind. So, man, look, I got a second channel. That second channel, Mad Mike Network, is still sitting at 124 subscribers. So you got to start from somewhere, man. It's an absolute grind. And like I said, with even Aaron Freeman been doing this for years, way longer than I do it, almost 10 years. And he finally started to really start making money at this. So like this is a grind. You got to pay your dues. You got to love it. You got to have a passion. And like I said, man, this is an absolute grind. So we definitely appreciate everybody for.
And what I tell Nathan too is this is not going to be the only show.
Yeah.
I have another one in plan, and that one's going to be specifically just on
I love that one, bro.
That channel, that show is going to be Falcon football too, but we're talking about all sports, all what's going around, like NBA, MLB, MLS, whatever goofy ass shit y'all done seen online, whatever.
Right.
So we're gonna have 2 shows. I'm gonna have 2 shows. We just gotta work out what days we're gonna do it. But the reason why I do this show on Mike's show too, because like I said, I'm trying to get more people to watch me. And like I said, get everybody used to me. Oh no, bro! You ain't pissed nobody off, because I know at the end of the day, I'm surprised I got as many subscribers as I got now.
He's not lying about. He's not lying when he say that. He's not lying.
I'm not surprised. I'm shocked because
it took us a while to kind of get him on it. It really took us a minute to get him. We talk about it all the time.
Cause I'm gonna tell it to you like this. Me doing this stuff, me doing this online and stuff like this. This is not me. That, like I said, this is a whole new thing for me. This is, like I said, most of the time, you won't catch me in front of no camera doing anything.
Right. Not at all.
I can tell you.
Yeah, he's not at all. Not at all.
But nope. like I said, we're definitely gonna. Like I said, we got kicking it with K Styles on Mondays. Like I said, that's the Atlanta Falcon Nation edition. Mm-hmm. We're gonna have kicking it with K Styles too.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna be for everything else.
Right.
So, like I said, hey, at the end of the day, I love this. This like I said, everybody that's in this chat, Mike, Maggie, like I said, Jew, J-Rock, everybody has brought something out different in me that I didn't know I had.
Absolutely, man.
And I'm sitting here with you, terrible hairline and all. You see that? I got the Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon hairline out for y'all. So y'all see that. But like I said, y'all make sure y'all follow Atlanta Falcon Nation. Definitely, we are almost to 1,000. We trying to get it.
Absolutely, man.
And like I said,
check that out.
Like I said, Atlanta Falcon Nation, like we always say, and I always say this, it's not just us up here talking. It's everybody that watches. It's everybody that shares these videos. It's everybody that likes it. Don't matter what fan of a team you are.
Mm-hmm.
If you rock with us, you part of the family.
Absolutely.
And hey, I'm gonna just go ahead and leave it in there.
Hey man, that's it. That's it, man. That's really it. So, like I said, man, y'all continue to support us. Head over to Atlanta Falcons Nation to help us get to 1K. And K Styles,
you ain't gotta go home, but
you got to get the hell up out of here. Peace.